Yo guys, one of the coolest yet most confusing devices for guitar is the capo. In today's lesson, I want to talk about what a capo is, when you would use it, and some of the most common mistakes you want to avoid when you start using a capo. Plus, I'm going to share with you some creative tips that are going to help you sound your best and stay inspired. If you like this video and you get some value out of it, please subscribe to this channel and hit the like button because that helps me out tremendously. All right, let's dig into it. So what is a capo? A capo is basically a little clamp, and they come in all different types of them, but it's essentially just a clamp that sits on your guitar and it acts as an adjustable nut that allows you to change the key of a song by either a half step, whole step plus a half step, two whole steps, whatever you want. As you move the capo down the fretboard, the key of your song will change. Now, what is an adjustable nut? Well, if you look at your guitar, the first little piece of plastic that the strings run through is called the nut, and that basically keeps your strings in line and it keeps them in order. Now, what happens with a capo is the capo replaces that nut, but it bars all the strings down and it allows you to play open chords in new positions. So I'll give you an example here. I could play a song that's in like G major, or I could forget about the key. I could play a song that has the chords G, E minor, C, and D, G, E minor, C, and D. Okay? And what the capo allows me to do is to put the capo on the guitar anywhere, and then I can play those same chords relative to the capo and be in a new key. So same chords, G, E minor, C, and D. Okay, so let's dig into this a little bit more now. So the main reason that you would even use a capo is to change the key of a song to adjust to a singer's vocal range. Now, I play in my church, and a lot of times we have female singers that are singing maybe male vocalist songs. So they'll send me a song, they'll say, hey, learn this song. I'll go home, I'll learn it. I'll come into practice and they'll say, that song's too low. Can we raise it up a little bit? And I'd say probably like 90% of the time, at least in church, we're playing songs that are using like the open chords and stuff. So there's a lot of G's, A minors, D, C, E minor, all that kind of stuff. And what I can do is I can just simply put the capo on any fret. Usually I'll just go a half step at a time. So if my song starts out and it's like A minor, C, G, E minor, right? I can just go a half step by putting the capo on the first fret, and then I can shift my hand up a little bit and play those same chords. So I could play A minor, C, G, E minor. And if the singer's good there, I'll stay there. If not, I'll go up a half step again. And essentially what this does is this allows us to quickly find a new key for them, and then we can play the song no issues, right? That's going to be the main reason you're going to use a capo. Now, the other thing is you're going to learn songs that already use a capo. So a lot of times, if you're learning a band that's already written a song, maybe they've already added the capo because they like the way that sounds, because that's another reason you could use it. It's just inspiring to put a capo on and play the same open chords that you know in different spots. So anyway, if you're learning a song that uses a capo, you're going to need to know where to put it. And that brings me to the next part, which is I want to give you guys some tips on how to sound the best when you start using the capo. When you use a capo, because it's a clamp, there's a certain amount of pressure on the capo. And every capo does this. Doesn't matter what. I've bought so many different types of capos. So I have a capo here. I have a Kaiser, which is a pretty standard. It's got a lot of tension on it. I have a Thalia capo, which was a gift from my dad, and that has a pretty decent amount of tension on it as well. And then I also have the Diodario with the adjustable spring, and this one has the least amount of tension out of all of them. I tend to go for the Diodario with the spring just because it allows me to adjust the tension and I can set it to whatever guitar I'm playing on. Now, what am I talking about here? So you have to understand, when you put a capo on your guitar, because of this tension, it's going to pull your guitar slightly out of tune. So you may have your guitar perfectly in tune right now without any capo on. You play your chords, they sound great, right? And then I could put this capo on. I'm going to use the Kaiser because I know the Kaiser has a lot of tension on it. Say I put the capo on like the 3rd fret, right? And I play those chords. Listen to how this sounds and see if you can hear that it sounds out of tune. Right? It just doesn't sound good. It's like you can hear the I call them helicopters. Wah, 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 wah. That sound means your guitar is out of tune. So what a lot of students don't realize when they start using a capo is that you need to tune your guitar with the capo on. Okay? They make this mistake where they tune their guitar without the capo, they put it on, guitar sounds out of tune. A lot of times I'll see students, they'll take the capo back off tune, check it again. They're like, my guitar's in tune, put the capo on. It sounds bad. So what you have to do, and I'm going to give you guys a free PDF here, which is a capo tuning reference chart, and this is going to help you out so much. You're going to print this and you're going to be able to know what you have to tune it to, because this is the next tricky part of this. When you put your capo on, in order to tune the guitar, you need to know that these notes have all changed. You're no longer using Eddie 8 Dynamite Goodbye Eddie. So you got to use whatever the new pitch is that these that the capo is holding down on these frets. So check this out. If I show you my tuner here, this note, this first note I'm going to play is supposed to be a G note. Look at where it's at. If I play this, it's basically showing me a G sharp almost. Yeah, it's like super high. This next one is supposed to be a C. It's super sharp. It should be right in the middle on that green. That should be an F natural. This should be an A sharp. These are all these notes are sharp. The D's kind of close. And then that G is actually in tune. So I got one string that's actually in tune. So I need to retune all those strings. I'm going to do it real quick here. And I'm tuning, so let me tell you this. I'm going to tune it with the capo on, okay? I want to leave the capo on and tune the guitar. So I need to get this to be a G natural. That's G natural. Now I need to get this down to just a C. This one should be F natural. Okay, so this should be a lot better. You hear that sound now? Beautiful. So the point is, you need to tune with the capo on. That way your guitar sounds in tune. And that is going to solve you like so many problems when you start playing and it just sounds bad. So anyway, that's my #1 tip. Don't forget, download this capo tuning reference chart. What it's going to do is it's going to show you what the tuning should be with no capo on, Eddie 8 Dynamite Goodbye Eddie, then what the tuning should be when you put it on the 1st fret, what the tuning should be on the 2nd fret, on the 3rd fret. And until you learn those notes, you're going to want to use a little reference like this. Okay. The other thing I want to mention, tip #2, is going to be where you put the capo, okay? So if you look where I put it here, it's not in the middle. It's sort of towards the fret wire here, but it's not on the fret wire. So a lot of times students will make this mistake. They'll put the capo right on the fret wire. You do not want to do that. You want to be behind the fret wire a little bit, but not quite in the middle. If you're in the middle, what happens is there's more tension. So imagine you have like this space, and if you put, and you have the string floating above it, and you put something right in the middle and pull it down, there's going to be like this big angle. So you want to come as close to that fret wire as you can so that angle's very short and small. And that will help your guitar stay in tune better just when you put the capo on. Now sometimes, a little side note I'll say, you may find a capo that you put it on and the tension's perfect. Guess what? You're one of the lucky ones, because usually almost every time I use a capo, I have to retune my guitar. So anyway, that's enough on that point. Let's go to the next one. I want to take a brief moment and just explain what actually happens when you use a capo. So this is like a conceptual thing, right? So imagine you're playing your guitar without a capo and you're just playing a G major chord, right? When you put the capo on, we still call the shape that you're playing of that G major chord a G. So we know this shape as a G shape, right? But technically speaking, when I have the capo on a fret, the chord that I'm playing here is not actually a G chord. It's a chord from a different key, but it shares the same shape, okay? So it's sort of this illusion that happens on guitar where it's like, we've put this capo on, we can play the same shape we know. We do refer to it as a G. So like if I was playing a chord progression, I went G, E minor, C, and D, I would tell you, hey, the chords I'm playing, if you're another guitar player, are G, E minor, C, and D. And as long as you, the other guitar player, have a capo on your guitar, me and you are going to match up. The issue that happens is when you need to communicate to other musicians. So in my church, for example, I play with a bass player who never uses a capo, and I play with a piano player who also never uses a capo. So if I put a capo on my guitar, I need to be able to relay to them the actual chords that I'm playing. And that's probably the only time where you're actually going to need to know what the chords that you're playing actually are called, is if you're communicating with another musician. So anyway, in this case, I'd have to tell the piano player, so he plays the correct chords, I'm playing B flat major to G minor to E flat major to F major, right? I'd have to be able to tell him that. Now, if you do not know how to do this, right, I'm going to give you guys another download, which is a capo transposition chart. And the transposition chart is pretty simple. It's going to look complicated, but the idea is simple. It's basically going to show you rows and columns, and it's going to show you on the top all the chords that you would play in your open position, right? Your regular C, D major, D minor, E major, E minor, all that stuff. But then below it, it's going to show you when you put the capo on the first fret, this is the actual note that you're playing, or the actual chord that you're playing. So you'd be able to see, like on this chart, I have the capo on the 3rd fret. If I play a C major chord shape, the actual chord that I'm playing that I would need to tell the piano player is an E flat major chord, okay? So anyway, maybe you don't need that, but it's a good reference to have. Go ahead and print it out and stick it on your bulletin board or at your desk or wherever you practice as just a reference that you can have. It's a great thing to be able to just look at when you need it. So anyway, guys, don't overthink it. This stuff happens automatically by default. It's one of the magical things about guitar and our pattern-based instrument is that, you know, when you use the capo, your chords are automatically changed and you don't even, like, it happens without you even knowing what they are. It's amazing. So anyway, that's going to wrap up this lesson, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you get some value out of this. If you would, please, again, like and subscribe to this channel. Also, check out my guitar flashcards on Amazon if you want to memorize where the notes are on your fretboard, intervals, chord formulas, all that kind of stuff. And then also check out my music theory course at tuningguitarcourses.com, and that covers all kinds of music theory stuff. Thank you again for watching. God bless.